As new skyscrapers rise in our skylines, greenhouse gases are rising along with it. This is because the production of cement, a major construction material, emits about 8% of the world's total carbon dioxide emissions. And with concrete proof of global warming's dire effects, an eco-friendly solution might be this Filipino invention. Invented by Dr. Ria Canlas, polite is a very tough material. Unlike cement, which is environmentally unsustainable, polite is made of eco-friendly and natural materials. Polite products are easy to install, very customizable, and extremely strong.
It's lightweight. I can even install it myself. This is waterproof, fire retardant. You cannot find in the market a similar product that is equipped with all of these properties.
Polite selfie tiles look hip and cool. Even Marriott Hotel thinks it's Insta-worthy. While polite hollow blocks are so easy to install, it's like playing with Legos.
You can already select if you want the plain or the brick look or the tile look. You can even have a hollow block that has a printed design on it already. So that's giving your house instant aesthetics.
For its innovation, form, and function, Polite has been recognized with the Good Design Award Grand Prix as a promising solution for the country's housing gap. Strong, sustainable, aesthetic. Polite is ready to shake up the construction industry.
I am Dr. Ria Liza Canlas. I am an engineer scientist and I am a woman in science. Feminine genius, engage and transform human culture. Feminine genius for the new culture of life. New culture of life for every human person and every age and stage is recognized as having an inviolable dignity and right to life, freedom, and love. Changes we aim to see in the lives of women and girls as a result of the innovation of Polite Technology Inc., guided upon by the principles of laborem exercens or spirituality of work and mulieris dignitatem or dignity of women. Feminine genius will be instrumental in turning women into feminine genius, being strong and determined with values of humility, kindness, patience, virtue, good character, industry, piety, and devotion. Use innovation endeavors, both in technology and creative arts, manifest compassion and competence to influence women for the transformational human culture that is self-expression for self-fulfillment and human fulfillment, and women empowerment through education and livelihood. Yeah. Yeah.
As new skyscrapers rise in our skylines, greenhouse gases are rising along with it. This is because the production of cement a major construction material, emits about 8% of the world's total carbon dioxide emissions. And with concrete proof of global warming's dire effects, an eco-friendly solution might be this Filipino invention. Invented by Dr. Ria Canlas, polite is a very tough material. Unlike cement, which is environmentally unsustainable, polite is made of eco-friendly and natural materials. Polite products are easy to install, very customizable, and extremely strong.
It's lightweight. I can even install it myself. This is waterproof, fire retardant. You cannot find in the market a similar product that is equipped with all of these properties.
Polite selfie tiles look hip and cool. Even Marriott Hotel thinks it's Insta-worthy. While polite hollow blocks are so easy to install, it's like playing with Legos.
You can already select if you want the plain or the brick look or the tile look. You can even have a hollow block that has a printed design on it already. So that's giving your house instant aesthetics.
For its innovation, form, and function, Polite has been recognized with the Good Design Award Grand Prix as a promising solution for the country's housing gap. Strong, sustainable, aesthetic. Polite is ready to shake up the construction industry.
I am Dr. Ria Liza Canlas. I am an engineer scientist and I am a woman in science. Feminine genius, engage and transform human culture. Feminine genius for the new culture of life. New culture of life for every human person and every age and stage is recognized as having an inviolable dignity and right to life, freedom, and love. Changes we aim to see in the lives of women and girls as a result of the innovation of Polite Technology Inc., guided upon by the principles of Laborem Exercens or spirituality of work and Mulieris Dignitatem or dignity of women. Feminine genius will be instrumental in turning women into feminine genius, being strong and determined with values of humility, kindness, patience, virtue, good character, industry, piety, and devotion. Use innovation endeavors, both in technology and creative arts, manifest compassion and competence to influence women for the transformational human culture that is self-expression for self-fulfillment and human fulfillment, and women empowerment through education and livelihood. Yeah.
As new skyscrapers rise in our skylines, greenhouse gases are rising along with it. This is because the production of cement, a major construction material, emits about 8% of the world's total carbon dioxide emissions. And with concrete proof of global warming's dire effects, an eco-friendly solution might be this Filipino invention. Invented by Dr. Ria Canlas, polite is a very tough material. Unlike cement, which is environmentally unsustainable, polite is made of eco-friendly and natural materials. Polite products are easy to install, very customizable, and extremely strong.
It's lightweight. I can even install it myself. This is waterproof, fire retardant. You cannot find in the market a similar product that is equipped with all of these properties.
Polite selfie tiles look hip and cool. Even Marriott Hotel thinks it's Insta-worthy. While polite hollow blocks are so easy to install, it's like playing with Legos.
You can already select if you want the plain or the brick look or the tile look. You can even have a hollow block that has a printed design on it already. So that's giving your house instant aesthetics.
For its innovation, form, and function, Polite has been recognized with the Good Design Award Grand Prix as a promising solution for the country's housing gap. Strong, sustainable, aesthetic. Polite is ready to shake up the construction industry.
I am Dr. Ria Liza Canlas. I am an engineer scientist and I am a woman in science. Feminine genius, engage and transform human culture. Feminine genius for the new culture of life. New culture of life for every human person and every age and stage is recognized as having an inviolable dignity and right to life, freedom, and love. Changes we aim to see in the lives of women and girls as a result of the innovation of Polite Technology Inc., guided upon by the principles of Laborem Exercens or spirituality of work and Mulieris Dignitatem or dignity of women. Feminine genius will be instrumental in turning women into feminine genius, being strong and determined with values of humility, kindness, patience, virtue, good character, industry, piety, and devotion. Use innovation endeavors, both in technology and creative arts. Manifest compassion and competence to influence women for the transformational human culture that is self-expression for self-fulfillment and human fulfillment, and women empowerment through education and livelihood. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone. It's exactly 5 o'clock, so we'll be starting our discussion. So we have at least 34 people in the house, but there are, I think, 90 people who registered in this talk. I hope that my audio is clear. So welcome to day 1 of our Bringing Ideas to Higher Level. This is an intellectual property, free intimate webinars, and we will be sharing real life tips. And this is our day 1, IP for beginners. So we'll have 3 hours of sharing, and I would would like to also greet our our viewers from YouTube, okay, and also our viewers from Facebook. Kung hindi na ma-accommodate for our registration, you can ask your colleagues to simply watch over our live at YouTube and Facebook. So, to begin, I would like to introduce first myself. So, I am Dr. Ria Liza Canlas. By profession, I am a civil engineer, a materials engineer, and a certified patent agent. And right now, I am a member of various professional and civic groups to include the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers, the Association of Patent Professionals, American Concrete Institute of the Philippines, Project Management Institute, Filipino Inventors Federation, and the Researchers, Inventors, Scientists, and Engineers of the Philippines. Also, active board of director of the Mapua CNC Alumni Association, the auditor of the Philippine Association of Engineers, and the founder president of Finite Element Institute of the Philippines. Right now, there are other industries and universities where I served as a patent consultant. Being a freelance, University of the Philippines, Diliman. I have extensive training from the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and passed several distance learning and advanced courses from the World Intellectual Property Office. And as you can see in the video that was played a while ago, I am also a startup founder. I founded Polite Technology Inc., a local manufacturer that uses green innovation and technology to contribute to nation building. The technology is seeded by the Department of Science and Technology to help usher in an active localization of construction materials and respond to the infrastructure needs of the country. My invention, I was able to get two national awards. One is the Gold Award as the highest rated in the field of materials innovation, and the Grand Prize Malasakit Award as the first recipient in the Philippines because my technology and designs embody the highest ideals having the most impact, addressing 10 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and this is given by the Design Center Philippines and the Department of Trade and Industry. And just recently, 2020, I won the grand prize of the professional category of the Alfredo M. Yao Intellectual Property Office, given by the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and the Philippine Chamber for Commerce and Industry. And this is the very main reason why I initiated this free and intimate webinar, because as a gratitude for having such awards. So this is my way of saying thank you, and also we celebrate the IP month, but a timely topic that we will be discussing. Also, I promote the feminine genius, as you can see, because being a female making impact in male-dominated industries such as construction and manufacturing. And this is my move for an authentic cultural change where deep technology revolutionizes the creative industry towards sustainable and inclusive development. And currently, I am also the director of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship of National University. So I'd like to welcome you guys. I have to introduce myself na para maniwala kayo sa mga ile-lecture ko. Okay? I'd like to welcome all the participants in this intimate meeting. We have around 90 people who registered, composed of professionals from the academe, from the industry, students from the graduate school, and students from the undergrad. And I'd like to make mention, special mention to the following people. The Dean of the University of the East, Maria Teresa Borebor. Good afternoon po sa inyo. And of course, Dr. Lydia Leonardo, the Director of the Office of Research and Coordination of the University of the East. Mr. Henry Dyke, or Daike, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, the database administrator of the University of the East. Maria Imelda Batalla, the program head of UE. Joanne Lazaro, the program coordinator of UE. And Ma'am Marilu Alonso, the principal of the University of the East. Also, good afternoon to the chairman of Civil Engineering of Yati University, Sir Alfredo Villarin. Hello po, good afternoon po. Nakita ko kita kanina dyan nasa audience. Nice having you, and also ang dami din po estudyante from Yati and faculty members also from I think the College of Aeronautics who registered. Good afternoon also from the officers or from the people of Centro Escolar University. We have the coordinator, Miss Gemma Rosemary Guardes, then the program head, Shirley Wong, the library coordinator, Corazon de Luli, and we have here also the university coordinator from National University, Engineer Christian Canlado. Good afternoon. And also, people from the industry would like to welcome the Department of Public Works and Highways, Engineer John Akaes David, and an engineer from the Air Force Research and Development Center. Good afternoon po, Engineer Jabel J. Abelia, and the Technical Research Supervisor of the Naval Research and Technology Development Center of the Philippine Navy, Engineer Pelverson Angeles. Good afternoon. And from Cloud Solution, from Westcon, Philippines, the Cloud Solutions Architect, James Cortez. Good afternoon. And to all other faculty members po na nandyan, I'd like to acknowledge representatives or attendees coming from NU, UE, Central Escolar University, Yati University, Jose Rizal Memorial State University. There are a lot, faculty and students. I think JR MSU is from Zamboanga, if I'm not mistaken po. Mostly HRM students, saktong-sakto, marami ako i-share sa inyo regarding products related to HRM. We have Miss Kay Raimundo from PAREF, and also representatives from Laguna State Polytechnic University, from Aegis of Hotel and Restaurant Management. Ayan, salamat po sa inyo lahat. So, I hope that you will learn in our 3 days training. There are objectives why I decided to conduct this training. No? First, you have to know your rights. We call it the intellectual property rights. You know your rights, then probably the world will be better. No? You'll be learning the techniques on how you can explore exploit the market and have properties. Intellectual properties also properties. I will walk you through I hope that everyone can silent all your mics. I don't know if I can silent. Paki-silent lang po lahat ng mic, guys. Okay, so I will walk you through the idea to market process the same way that I did how I was able to bring my technology to actual clients, which I think it's better for me to talk about that on the 3rd day. Okay? And then we apply IP concept to achieve dreams, because if you would be embracing the very concepts of intellectual property and innovations, probably this will be something that will change your life. I actually tag this seminar as bringing your idea to the higher level. It's because we have to go one step higher than where we are in the past. And I know that since you are all here, you are in the research field, and you are probably working on a product development project or in the process of preparing for product development or the interest to do product development. Then if that's what you're doing right now, this seminar or this webinar is precisely for you. Being in a higher level is a way to change your lives and achieve dreams. And we culminate this concept on the third day. Okay? Mahalaga kasi in the first day, you first know the basics. That's why we will talk about IP for beginners. And I'd like to enumerate the topics in this way. We start with the idea flow, innovation, overview of the IP system, how IP concept is important for everyone, and technology readiness level. I'd like to start my lecture with these words from Multitude. Let 1,000 flowers bloom. I am here to share my experience, to influence others so that they may also bloom. I do hope that at the end of the 3 days, I'll be able to inspire most of you, if not all of you, to reach your star, to bloom. And there is no other way to bloom. And there is no other way to be competitive but through innovation. Before we talk about innovation, I would like to discuss an idea flow. Let us imagine how things are happening. First, you have an idea. An idea is something that comes from your mind, the left and right portion of your mind. Okay? We call it the ideation process. In the ideation process, you imagine what is the look of this idea. Is it a device, an apparatus, a machine, a product, a compound? What's the size? How big? How small? What's the shape? Rectangle, square, circular? What's the method? What's the process? Is there something or is there a storyboard that you can build in your mind? There are a lot of things going on in your mind. And this has to be put on a concept paper. Write your idea. Call it a rationale paper or concept paper. When you write it, it will be very easy for you to really imagine how the final form of the idea will look like, or how your idea will be expressed. On the process of ideation, and as you move on from that time, moving forward, it's best to have your logbook. Have that what you call this, literal na logbook ng security guard. No? The security guard's logbook wherein you do not detach any page and it has pages, page number. You log everything because there are certain situations when innovators or researchers try to forget what has been done and they cannot repeat anymore the same output. And logbook will also give you the proof of doing a particular project. If you are working with consultants, if you're working with professors or fabricators, for instance, let them sign in your logbook. If there are suggestions coming from other people as part of an initial demo of your idea, then let them input the information in the logbook. In this way, you're able to get a lot of ideas. Why do I ask you to write everything? Because this will help a lot in the writing of the invention disclosure form, which we will discuss on the third day. Next is, let's talk about the legal implications. Are you getting funding? From whom? Is it funding coming from a government institution? Is it coming from the university? Is it coming from yourself? Call it bootstrapping. Okay? Because in the process of funding, of course, the intellectual property policy of the funding institution has to matter. In the funding, it has to be very clear on what would be the percent profit of sharing between you as the researcher and the funding institution. Next, who is the member of your team? Is this project a collaboration? Of course, it makes sense to become a team. Because if you are alone, it may be hard for you to do everything. Or perhaps, if you really wanted to do research alone, then you could hire staff to help you work on your project. But since most of you are in a research institution and mostly are coming from a university, then it makes sense for you to identify from the beginning who are the members of this team. Is it a collaboration between the faculty and the students? Then, can we have a contract agreement specifically stating the terms of reference of what would be the task of each? Why do you need the terms of reference? Because the TOR will say how much percent ownership will go to a particular person. So it makes sense to be prepared from the beginning of the project that all of you as part of the team already had a negotiation or a pre-agreement on what you agreed upon, no? The moment that you finish the project, and of course the climax is the marketability, you offer the product in the market. Then do you have consultants? So why do I have to ask if you have consultants or fabricators? Because simply they have access to your technology. When we start discussing about the basics of IP later, you're gonna find out that it makes sense to really be very keen about who are the people you've entrusted your secret sauce or your technology. Be sure that in this process, you're able to make the first step of protection. That is, you have a very good concise contract agreement that all consultants, fabricators, or any people that you engage with sign a non-disclosure agreement, and a transfer of assignment if ever there are members of the group who would want to leave the group. Okay? You have to transfer the assignment to the remaining members of the team so that the technology will prosper. And if you intend to leave the team, be sure that you also sign a non-compete agreement. Okay? Meaning, if you leave the group, you transfer the assignment to the group, then you promise also not to compete them in the future. With the funding institution, it also makes sense to do a transfer of assignment of co-ownership of whoever funds you. So if it's the university funding you, then naturally, the university has a co-ownership on the technology. In fact, it will be the university who would become the applicant on the intellectual property and the researchers as the inventors or creators. Okay? Again, each university has to come up with a very clear IP policy prior to engaging themselves to these various types of projects in the future. Okay? So that's a profit sharing scheme. Okay? Again, next, the timeline. No, you have to be very careful about how long do you intend to finish the project. Why? Because later I'll discuss the technology readiness level. No? There are some types of technology that you really cannot afford to be so long. For example, if you're working on anything that is related to programming, computer, softwares, etc., then probably 4 to 6 months is just the timeline. No? But if you're working on a brick and mortar technology, then perhaps that would be longer. But let us recon on what is being practiced in most research institutions. That you give 1 year for one project to end. Or if you're in thesis, you give yourselves 1 sem, 1 term, or 2 terms. Okay? So you have to be very precise about the timeline and that you know what are the stages in each of the timeline. But again, no guys, if you're working on product development or process development, then it should be already part of your dream or part of your plan to include the commercialization plan. Okay? Why would you in the first place make yourselves what you call this make yourselves um devote too much time and money resources to a particular product development or process development project that you yourself did not intend to commercialize unless you intend publication. Okay, but later on I'll show you how we need to shift the paradigm so that we can maximize the benefits that will arise on anything that is created by the mind, the intellect, no? Then, of course, it makes sense also to do the corresponding review of related literature. The review of related literature in the field of IT or innovation is just a matter of categorizing the materials where you get the the materials. Okay? Example, if you're getting it from a patent document, we call it a patent search. If you're getting it from the rest of the collections other than the patent databases, then we call them the non-patent collection. But to explore IP, it is very important for you to get to do patent search and non-patent search. The whatever is existing is already known will always be the basis if you really have an IP out of your work. Palaging kailangan may point of comparison. No? You cannot go to a patent agent and say, hey, I've done something unique. Our first question would be, where's the prior art? So that we can identify what is unique. Therefore, in the process of IP, it is very important to document how you do the review of related literature. There is a prescribed format in the so-called patent search report. In the patent search report, you have to include what are the databases that you have access, and perhaps there are important databases which I'll be discussing tomorrow, day 2, no? Day 2 ako tututok dito sa patent search. I'll show you techniques on how you can achieve the maximum output from the patent search and non-patent search. Okay? But definitely, if you're doing a technology, you have to document whatever you search for. We call it the patent search report and the non-patent search report. After you do the searching, of course, what are you searching? You're searching something that is similar to your technology or to the project that you're working on. Now, after getting what is known, you do an inventive step matrix. I'll also discuss it tomorrow. You have to compare the features of your invention, supposedly, and the feature of what is already known. We put in the table, we make a matrix, and we qualify. No, tomorrow, mas malalaman natin, we qualify whether this, maingay po ba ako? May nagko-comment kasi. Excuse lang I'll just read some comments. Pasensya na guys, soloist lang ako ngayon. May maingay po ba? Okay. Guys, can you send a thumbs up if you think my audio is clear? Thumbs up po tayo if you can hear me. Grounded ang mic. Saglit. I'll just check my audio po. Saglit. Test, hello. Mic test, hello. Hello, test, hello. Hello. test. Hello? Guys, okay na po yung ano ko, yung acting audio. This time, hindi na grounded. Okay na? Okay na tayo? Grounded pa rin. Meron pa din. Wait up. Grounded daw, hindi naman. Hello, test. Hello. Hello, test. Test, mic. Meron talaga. Meron parang. Hello, 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 test. Hello. Saglit guys, I just change. Saglit. Hello, hello, mic test. Hello. Okay, that's better. That's better. Okay na guys, thumbs up tayo. Okay na yung audio ko. Sa test kasi okay na. Thumbs up lang tayo kung okay na. Okay, thank you guys. Uulitin ko ba? Saan tayo na stop? Pasensya na, buti na lang you call my attention. Saang area tayo na stop? Okay. So, sahin ko na ibang mga comments. Okay, inventive step matrix. So, after you did your homework, which is to get the patent search and non-patent search, this is just the similar guys of review of related literature, and you can do the data gathering in the comforts of your home, di ba? So after mo makuha yung mga data, you able to get all the technologies, products, or existing technologies are very similar to your product. We do an inventive step matrix so that we identify what are the similarities with what is already existing and what are the differences. And it makes sense, no? Because the differences are actually your invention or your creation. I will discuss this in detail tomorrow, okay? Because we are going to spot invention tomorrow. So I suggest that all of you attend tomorrow so that you learn the trick of getting the invention, no? Saglit, ayaw lang mag-move ng aking PowerPoint. Na-stuck na siya. Okay, wait lang guys. I think I have to share and share again. Next, you do a market survey or observation. Why? Because any product or process that we plan to do should have a user. If there's no user, then don't waste your time and resources, no? You have to identify the user.
And if you are, and it's good to have a market survey or observation so that you'd be able to improve further the functionalities or the features of your technology. Okay, so you need survey results and survey forms. You may do some way of reverse engineering or its equivalent by dwelling on the weaknesses of the what is existing. Everything that is already known in the bounds of patents or intellectual property is called prior art. Prior art is anything that is known. So the first step is to dwell on the weaknesses of the prior art. Whatever the prior art cannot do are called technical problems. And then, of course, you'll be solving that problem, and you call that the technical solution. The technical solution basically is your invention or creation or innovation. Okay? Hindi ko na muna sinasabi yung word na invention kasi wala pa tayo sa overview of the IP. Okay? Technical effect, which we'll be discussing in detail tomorrow. But for now, no, let it be something like, is there something that your invention or creation can do that the other prior art cannot? That's the technical effect. If your product can do something, or it has a purpose that cannot be a purpose of whatever is existing in the market, then that's the best product. Kasi ang laki ng laban mo, patentable yon. Okay? So at this stage, you should be preparing drawing specifications. It's very important also to know the drawings. I'll discuss that on day 3. The drawings, the specifications, no? Prior to filing your patent. You may do simulations as part of your tests, or as part of your initial prototyping. We call the virtual prototype. You may also write the optimized formulation matrix, or simply the ingredients or the recipe. You do quantity surveying and material list of the things that you need to buy, process list. Process list is very important. Why? Because most of the time, we file the product and the process, how the product is done. Typically yon. Usually, there is also invention in the process and how the product or the process has been prepared. Okay? Or the product has been prepared. Testing list is important. Of course, the test results. If you wanted to claim something, example, may sinasabi ka, your product is antioxidant, your product is insect repellent, example, those are the features that you are highlighting. It has to be proven with the test results. Otherwise, we cannot file that. Okay? So me, as a patent agent, I always ask for the test results because mostly those with test results are the ones approved by the IPO. So it is worthy to wait for test result. There are some clients who are in a hurry and wanted to file with a very limited data, but I suggest to wait so as not to waste the time. Okay? We need the testing company list because there are some kinds of tests that needs only accredited testing companies to do such. Suppliers lists, laboratory facility clearance, and a project cost. This will make sense. The costing will make sense if you are on the scaling up or in the process of doing manufacturing or duplicating our initial prototype. At least you hold up the cost In the future, that will be very important in determining cost efficiency of your product, and also the share, the amount of your funder will be giving you. In some universities, if they answer the filing of the patent, and the students or the faculty are the one who answer in the making of their product, if you sum them, if you take look at the cost, it appears mas malaki pa yung ginastos sa filing, no? Minsan, filing might have a higher cost than the actual doing of the product. So in that way, you can have a basis for negotiating with the funders regarding the most acceptable profit sharing scheme. You need to do your prototyping, and the prototyping may either be in an optimization of the formula. If you're working on a process, for instance, ingredients of food, example, for the I saw a lot of HRM students who are on faculty as well who are here. There are a lot of filed utility model and patents on food, no? Just when I did the IP audit in one university in Rojas City, we recommended filing for utility model on ice cream. Nung isang araw where I'm talking with a scientist, he told me, oh, I know one department who filed for a patent on lugaw. Okay, so these things, if you are in a matter of optimizing a formula, you have to be very certain about the percentage of ingredients A, ingredients B, ingredients C, okay? Because in the concepts of intellectual property, if your percentage use is not found in whatever existing product, then you can apply for an IP. So you have to take a look at the ingredients. You can see similar products that are, well, maybe patented or protected. Why is it so? Because of the variance in the percentages. Okay. And then simulation is also a good way to finalize functionality. In my case, simulation was a big help for me in determining the mechanical properties and some thermal properties and fabrication properties of my materials in the absence of laboratories in the Philippines. What I'm trying to drive at is that you can always proceed with testing through a combination of uh, lab, simulation, and mathematical analysis. Okay, you can combine all of them. You have to be innovative in trying to mix and match different types of technology strategies so that you would come up with the desired properties. No, pero there are also some tests that you really cannot conduct in the Philippines. Anyway, we still have to wait for those tests. And of course, the fabrication processes. Then the protection. Why is it called the protection? It is a protection because you are given merits, no? And what are these merits? Of course, the number one is economic merit. You, being protected, will enjoy the monopoly of the use, sell, and manufacture of a particular product or process. You are excluding others from benefiting out of it. You are given a number of years of protection to enjoy, to earn, to economically benefit. And everything that has been created or has been protected, of course, has an ending, no? That's why it's important that you know your intellectual property rights so that you know the length of time of protection. The protection differs if it's a patent, utility model, industrial design, trademark, isotopography, trade secret, etc., which I'll be discussing later. So dito you have to show proof of a lot of things like the characterization, data and results, your design sheets, codes, flowcharts, diagrams, storyboards, GUI, no, the graphic user interfaces, experiment data and results, your crude prototype, your ugly prototype, test results, pictures, progress reports, the final formula, the final product, the final report. If you have the manuscript, much better, because this will be very useful in preparing the specifications of your invention. Pag-usapan natin yon sa third day, okay? Sasabihin ko sa inyo kung bakit, okay? And then, claims. The claims actually are your invention. These are what you asking for protection, the claims, no? And then, of course, you need patent documents. The patent documents meaning everything that you need to submit to the intellectual property office so that you can file for protection, and then the application itself. After patent application, you are free to do commercialization. Okay. Um, you're given a 1 year non-prejudicial period allowance, no? Kung kunwari, kinommercialize mo na agad, you're not yet filing. You have 1 year allowance, no? Which I'll discuss tomorrow in detail. But again, no, why do you want protection? Because you want to commercialize. Alangan naman guys na nagpapapatent ka, you don't intend naman pala to commercialize. So why are you wasting your time? No? Why are you doing that, diba? So in other words, the reason why you want a protection, it's because you want to commercialize. You want to exclude others. So there are a lot of commercialization processes or steps which I'll discuss on the third day. Okay. Now, let's have innovation and the product paradigm shift. Okay. The Republic Act 11293 or the Philippine Innovation Act signed last April 2019 and the Republic Act 11337 or the Innovative Startup Act signed last April 26 defined innovation so that every one of us has just one understanding of innovation, and also the Republic Act is a way of the government to prepare for the ecosystem or the support ecosystem to a very healthy startup community in the Philippines. No? But innovation is defined by the law as the creation of new ideas that result in the development of a new or improved product or process or business models or services, which are then spread, transferred, or commercialized. Mind the red letters that I highlighted. Now, there are two things that I highlighted. The new ideas, and that new ideas needs to be spread, transferred, and commercialized. It has to be adopted. If you do not complete the two-part process, example, it was not spread, transferred, commercialized, then creation of new ideas may lead to research and as output. No? But if you really wanted to do the innovation process, then that new idea has to be spread, transferred, and commercialized. But then the innovation word was extensively, expandedly defined that it has to have impacts. No? What are these impacts? Again, we're not just doing things for the sake of doing things. No? We do things, we create things, we invent things because we want impacts, such as a social impact. Your technology might be a way to generate job, alleviate poverty, and some other forms of social impacts. It has to realize economic impact. This is a situation when you are at least, diba, a bit better than who you are yesterday. That's economic impact. That's why you have economic merits. It's practically this innovation process will lead you into a wealth creation. And the environmental impact, which may mean coming up with environmentally friendly products that will mitigate climate change. Okay, so ito yung innovation as defined by the government, and this is how we are going to see innovation. In other words, innovation has two parts. The first part is the ideation process. In the ideation process, there are so many things of ways of thinking, no? It's just using the brain. there is the so-called creative thinking, design thinking, systems thinking, critical thinking. No? But basically, all types of ideation started from the creative thinking. And creative thinking has been defined as the ability of a person to discern patterns that are non-obvious to any other person. And I'd like you to take note of the word non-obvious. Ang ibig sabihin, you were able to come up with ideas that are not the same ideas thought of other people. And that is creative thinking. And what I want to emphasize here is that if you are thinking of anything new, something that comes original from your mind, no? It may be new, inventive, original, non-obvious individual character. You see here jargons of words, different types of words that defines something new. But these definitions are actually found in the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. Example, newness and inventive is part of the definition of patents. Originality, non-obviousness, individual character is part of the definition of copyright and trademarks. Now, that's besides the point, but what we're trying to drive at is that anything new is worth an intellectual property. Okay? So, yung newness, I want to emphasize, anything new means not part of a prior art, not a prior art. Prior art is defined as something that is already existing. Now, the ideation process is best when it's follow the strategy of the problem solution approach. Kanina, I told you that you dwell on the weaknesses of the prior art. You identify the problem in the prior art. Problem solution approach is the best way for you to really come up with create new features and functionalities. But you have to complete the innovation process, and that's the second part, adoption. What you have thought of has to be adopted in your workplace, in the community, or in business. Okay? It needs adopters, users. Now, doing this is a way to accumulate assets. What is an asset? What is a property? This property are equivalent to owning a land, a car, jewelry, or cash.
Wala na
It is a way for you to accumulate both intangible asset, which is represented by your
Maski sa kuan front wala na
represented by your medyo maingay lang.
maski kuan gabi morning.
This is represented by your IP, the intangible, and this intangible asset is expressed in a product or a process, making it tangible. Therefore, the concept of innovation is a concept of accumulating assets. Okay? What are assets in the first place? Now, let's have now the overview of the intellectual property system. Tangible assets are assets that are discernible by the senses, something you can touch, smell, see. Intangible assets, you cannot touch them. Tangible assets are materials that are material in nature. The intangible asset is something that is immaterial. But both are assets. Both are wealth. These are examples of tangible assets. Currencies, buildings, real estate, vehicle, inventories, equipment, and precious metals. And these are examples of intangible assets. We have the science of knowing what to do, our relation with the clients, our operative processes, our databases, our information, the capacities and abilities and innovations of the employees. I'm sorry, it's typo error. Of the employees, no? And of course, intellectual property and goodwill. All of these altogether are assets. According to the Civil Code of the Philippines, Article 712, ownership is either acquired by occupation and the other one is by intellectual creation. In other words, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to have possession, then There's one way to do that. That is by intellectual creation. But when you are using your brains or your minds or your intellect in the ideation process, you have to express it. Express it in different forms. The ideas can be expressed in terms of lectures, paintings, pictures, products, process, formula. Basta ang importante, you have to express the idea. And the expression of that idea will now have the corresponding intellectual property protection. There has been now a good move, a good strategy by most multinational companies wherein their assets now are bigger in terms of intangible than the tangible. You can see as early as 2006, no, that most companies retain 10% only tangible and the rest are intangible. Intellectual capital ideas and innovation have become the most important resource that is now replacing land, energy, and raw materials. As you can see in the table, Coca-Cola is number one. If they have a total market capitalization of 151 billion US dollars, then only 7 billion is tangible and the rest are intangible. 144. That is equivalent to 95% of their total capitalization is intangible. Okay, and there are a lot. So in other words, guys, this is just a good move just to show you that you can always explore, intellectual property in the asset creation. And since all of you here are involved in research, all of you are interested in coming up with product development, then this is a good opportunity for us to start creating the IP. In summary, both tangible and intangible assets have value. Tangible assets are important in value and wealth creation. And intellectual property is the most important asset of a company. But what are the intellectual property? As defined by the Republic Act 8293 or the IP Code of the Philippines, wag na po natin kalilimutan from this day on, remember the 7 types of IPR or intellectual property rights. We have the copyright and related rights, trademarks and service marks, geographic indications, industrial designs, patents, to include petty patents or utility model, layout designs or topography of integrated circuits, and protection of undisclosed information or commonly known as trade secret. Now, let us simply discuss this one by one. Okay? Intellectual property is the creation or the product of the human mind expressed in different forms. Okay? Then, intellectual property describes ideas, inventions, technologies, artworks, music, literature that are first intangible when you created them, but in the process, they will now be converted into tangible form as products or processes. So the number one or the most popular type of intellectual property is called the copyright. Copyright is a legal protection extended to the owner of the rights in an original work. Original work is defined as something that is independently done by the creator. Okay? If there is even the slightest or the smallest degree of originality, then you can apply for copyright. But mamaya malalaman nyo that copyright is automatic. But I'll tell you later what are these legal protection included in owning a copyright. Copyright is automatic. It means that you own this property the moment that you've created it. The depository of the copyrighted material is optional. But if you really insist, then you can apply for copyright and submit it to the National Library or to the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. But there would be no checking, there'd be no formality check at all. Because the assumption is copyright is automatic the moment you've created it. Okay? Now, so ang bounds ito guys, example, today you take picture, automatic sa'yo yun, di ba? Copyrighted sa'yo yun. You don't have to bring your pictures or your PowerPoint presentations or your letters to the office, to the patent office. These are example of copyrightable material. So we have books, newspapers, lectures, sermons, letters, musical composition, paintings, sculptures, works of architecture, original ornamental designs, maps, plans, and sketches, photographic works, and of course, computer programs. There are some argument about softwares we can discuss tomorrow, but the parameter is that computer programs are copyrightable, as well as all types of audiovisual and cinematographic works are copyrightable. The first right that you have in owning a copyright is so-called economic right. The right to be paid from your work. No? Economic right. So example, if your work is reproduced, you have to be paid on it. Transformation. It was changed from its original form to a new form. Example, you have a fast beat music, and then somebody has to recreate it, transform it into a mellow one. And you have to be paid on it. First, public distribution when you sell it, rental, public displays or public performance in any kinds of exhibits, and communication to public, whether wired or wireless. So that includes communicating your work through the internet. In any way, this has to be, you have to get the economic right. Another right you have as a copyright owner is the moral rights. The right to require the authorship always be attributed to the creator. It is only the author who can make any alterations or to object any kind of distortion or to restrain the use of the name. Moral rights, economic rights can be, you can sell it. You can transfer the economic rights. That's why most of you, if you're doing example publication and then you have to transfer the transfer of assignment of the copyright ownership to the publisher, di ba? Yung mga IEEE, mga Scopus Index na yan, you will sign, no? Pero, yung pangalan nyo, yung moral right cannot be sold. That's why, anytime that your paper will be used, your authorship has to be cited. Because there's no way that you can sell the moral rights. From the beginning, you are really the creator or the author of that work. There's a third right in some types of copyright na tawag nilang related rights. Okay? Related rights comes into some forms of copyrighted material. Example, you're working in a website. No? So, there's a copyright on the content of the website, on the design of the website, even on the hosting of the website. If it's a movie or is a cinematographic work, no, there's a corresponding copyright for the actors, actress, those who arrange the music. If there's is the lighting, including the director, the producer, etc. Okay? Pero ganun kapag kasi related rights, definitely will be a collecting body. And a collecting body, sila na yung nagko-collect lahat yan and then gives the corresponding share of the copyright to the creator. Okay? This is what's magnificent about copyright. The protection of the copyright is up to 50 years after your death. So what does it mean? It means that the copyright material is actually an inheritance to your heirs. Ito ang iyong pamana into up to your two generation, no? Pamana to your children and to the children's children. Okay? If the work is done by a group, you have to wait for the last alive group member to die and then add 50 years. That's how long you can actually enjoy the merits or the economic merits of the copyright. I actually had a chance to meet a tagapagmana of a copyright, no? The nephew of Kepwing. If you know Kepwing, the illustrator who developed Kepwing has died 20 years ago. And it's good that they know their rights, okay? When he died, the children of the illustrator actually don't have or don't know how to exploit the market using Kepwing. So they give a special power of attorney to the nephew. And the nephew now is now working on many ways to market Kepwing, no? Meron pa siya natitirang 20 plus years to explore the market. And you know, amazingly, there's a one output is the life of Kepwing, which is also to be offered in bookstore. Another is I think it's already working on different a provider of example Nickelodeon. There's an initial talk on including it in the cartoon as a cartoon character, and also he tried talking with the marketing company to do different kinds of novelty products out of Kepwing to include the pop-up dolls, di ba, yung dolls that has big heads. Sabi ko, wow, this is, kasi noon lang ako nakakita talaga ng a warm body that is who benefited from the copyright protection. Kaya nga sabi nila, guys, you know, Shakespeare, Elvis Presley may not, their heirs may not become poor at all. May never become poor in the rest of their lives because of the many copyrighted material that has been done. No? But for Michael Jackson, it's the same thing. Kaya lang I heard that those payments on the copyrights are not enough to pay the. I think he has outstanding loan upon his death. No? But you know that the children of Michael Jackson are still benefiting from the output of its copyright material. And by the way, Michael Jackson is also an inventor. He invented the shoes that sticks on the floor, and when you dance, you appear or you seem to appear, your body is 45 degrees with respect to the floor. No? Shoes yun, yung shoes na yun, they filed for patent and it is being commercialized by Triumph USA. The copyright concept is the easiest way for you to generate wealth. Copyrighted material are called literary or artistic innovations. So just can imagine, my always favorite example here is Disney, no? But you imagine Disney. I think the only daughter of Disney now don't know what to do in her life. Parang yung the last article that I read about her is that she don't want to accept the inheritance, and you know, most of her life is just spent doing a philanthropic life. What's the story of Disney? Disney started with Goofy, with a dog character, no? Way back then, Goofy did not become a hit in the market, so they decided to come up with another character, and that's Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse earned billions of dollars for Disney. So just imagine everything that has Mickey Mouse, movies, songs, all types of novelty items. Example, you use those novelty items in parties in different places of the world. All of this using these Disney characters are paying royalty to Disneyland. And imagine how many characters they have. Diba? Mickey has the Jowa, the Minnie Mouse, and then They have the Daisy, the Disney, the Daisy, Donald, and all these types of princesses and all these types of villains, no? All of this generates for Mickey, for Disney. Okay? So there are so many ways to explore this thing. In fact, I have been for me in my case, I have copyright on my designs. Well, I never thought of having those designs in the first place, no? Pero yung kasing mga product nyo, akala nyo lang, you just thought of it as a technological innovation. That's our topic tomorrow, no? It's opposing, of course, dito kasi literary and artistic innovation ang copyright. But you see, most tech products also appears to have a copyright material. It's just a matter of strategy of the creator. Okay? Kasi imagine, no, 50 years after that, there are non-common law countries that do have 75 years pa nga of protection, up to 2 generation of the heirs. Okay? So I think this is the best way now for you to start copyrights. Now, next we have the patents. Okay? Patents is a kind of a technical innovation. Patent is a grant issued by the government through, of course, the Intellectual Property Office, because it's territorial. No? The application is territorial. If you apply in the Philippines, then you're only protected in the Philippines. If you want to apply protection in different countries, you can do so. It is called PCT, the Patent Cooperation Treaty. Okay? What is a patent? Patent is an exclusive right granted to the patent owner. And this exclusive right, as stated in number 3, gives the inventor the right to exclude others from making, selling, or using the product of his invention during the life of the patent. In other words, it gives the owner or the inventor the monopoly in the market at a certain period of time. Now, there are only 4 types that are qualified into patent. These are a new product, a new process, improvement of an existing product, or improvement of an existing process. So, 4 lang yan, ha? Way back then, kasi may mga tao na, they will disagree that, everything has already been invented. Of course not. Of course not. There are still modern Einstein. There are still modern people. Your mind, yung mind, no, so unique from each other that you really are that creative. You just have to explore the creativeness of your mind. Kasi guys, once you've started it, you just get addicted to being creative and you just cannot control yourself anymore creating and creating. Para lang yung nagpa-publish ka ng journal, di ba? From the first time you publish your journal, you're so elated, you have a Scopus index, and now you can't stop. You can just simply stop. You're just addicted to creating and creating more journals. It's the same way, di ba? Kaya lang guys, for those who are in the publication, what I can suggest is first to explore. You might have something that is patented. I-protect muna natin. Let's just wait for a while, and then after you file the protection, you can now start publishing. Ang point lang naman, ma-i-file mo muna. Or, if nagmadali ka, meron pa namang allowance na binibigay sa atin, which I'll be discussing in detail tomorrow. Okay? Now, ulit tayo ha. What is being patented? A new product, a new process, or an improvement of an existing product or improvement of an existing process. But it has to conform with 3 criteria. And I suggest that you don't forget already these 3 criteria. Dapat palagi na natin siyang baon because this is our way this is our hints in the creative in the creative thinking process. Okay? Because when you know the criteria, then probably your mind will be bringing you into that situation. No? that anything that you produce must comply with 3 criterias. And these criterias are new, involves inventive step, and industrially applicable. These are topics that we'll be discussing in detail tomorrow, but for you to have an idea, okay, new means not part of the prior art. So meaning not existing. Involves inventiveness. Okay. I want to give you hint words. No, when you say new, please remember the word prior art. Okay, yun yung keyword. No, new means not part of the prior art. When you hear naman the word inventive step, the keyword is non-obviousness. Non-obvious. Yun ang tatandaan nyo. Bakit? Di ba kanina sinabi ko na yung non-obviousness, no? Yung creative thinking, the ability to discern patterns that are not obvious to any people around you. You have that capability of coming up with solutions that are not obvious to any person skilled in the art. That's inventive. Not obvious. The solution you offered is not obvious. It practically has to undergo a certain process of research or procedures before you'll be able to identify the solution if it's okay. Kaya it's a non-obvious solution. Example, a very always an example on this. If say your cell phone is so big, it's so heavy, your laptop is so big, it's so heavy, that's the technical problem. Then of course, how do we solve that if the technical problem is heavy? O de, ano naisip yung solution? So alam ko na kung ano nasa isip nyo. Isa-isa lang ang nasa isip natin. We make it lightweight. We use of lightweight material to make it lighter. Since every one of us have thought of it, then it means it is an obvious solution. So it's not inventive. Anything that is obvious is not inventive. So dapat tatandaan nyo, non-obviousness. We'll explore of that tomorrow, okay? Then industrial applicable, the key word for industrial applicable is useful. It's useful. It has a use. In any type of industry, industry is anything of technical character or anything that is beyond aesthetics. Not just because of the look, but because it has a use. It's useful. Okay? You confine with all of these 3 solutions, criteria, then you can now apply for patent. Okay? In return of the patent application, you have to submit the full disclosure or the full description of your invention to the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. Ang parameter dito is the first disclosure must be made to the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. Therefore, in the process, in the product development process, always treat it as default a trade secret. Trade secret muna natin lahat ng mga pag-uusapan natin. Then you just have to disclose it first at the patent office. After that day, tomorrow, you're now free to disclose it. And of course, part of the process is that every disclosure has to be made public to anyone in the Philippine Gazette or patent database so that everybody in the whole world will be able to see your work. That's the process of education, of knowledge. That the knowledge has to be read and has to be a reference of other people who want to get, who are also working on the same technology. Okay? Patentable invention is any technical solution to a problem. If it's not a technical solution, then it's copyright. Okay? And it's a first to file system. That's why I tell you, do not tell to your neighbors any form of disclosure. And the term of protection is 20 years, not renewable. So, dapat, you should have exploited the market. You should have earned in the 20-year period because it will expire and you cannot renew. What happens after it expires? It now becomes a public, it will now go to the public domain. Okay? So, ibig sabihin nun, pag public domain na siya, dahil siya ay expired na, then anyone can now copy, manufacture, sell without infringing you because your protection is ended. Kaya nga dapat doon pa lang sa monopoly period mo na when you monopolize the market, you have to be you have to earn na. Okay? So yun ang ano ng patent. Also, the patent database is the patent system itself is a protection for both you as an inventor because you're given 20 years and all of us as the society, because at the end of the day we can read your work from the disclosure, we can make it as a reference, and we can benefit out of it after 20 years. We just have to wait for it to expire. So that's basically a strategy of the generic companies, diba? Or for this drug generic companies, they just have to wait for a product or a medicine to expire in the patent, but actually they're already doing it, they're already copying it, they just waited for the end of the protection and then sell it as a generic, and now it costs less. Of course, it costs less, because it doesn't pass through the usual process of research, not in the usual from the legitimate company who did the research. In the beginning, it took them years, no? Sometimes it took 10 years to perfect the medicine. Okay? So, ang dami ng ginastos. So, ikaw, generic company, nag-aabang ka lang. But that's a legitimate purpose of the patent. That's why the developing company or other developed company, our high-tech neighbors, example, Singapore or US or Europe, do have a technology that is 20 years in advance of technology, no? Masyadong futuristic. So, pag nag-expire yun, that's the only time it's uso in the Philippines. Kaya madaming time pwedeng generic. Madaming generic. In fact, CDR King, I think, is a mall of, a place for all generic. Or if a product is not protected in the Philippines, then anyone can manufacture and offer it for sale in a country where it is not protected. Pwede yun. Okay? So this is an example of a Filipino invented product, method and apparatus for reforming air in an internal combustion engine. Philippine patent number 1-2006 means the year of filing the patent. Patent is for 20 years, so it will expire on 2026. In other words, this technology is still protected. Okay. And some examples of products that looks weird, but actually they are patentable. And for engineering students, for engineering technologies, typically the less highfalutin, the less the less advanced are the ones who are patentable. Okay? Minsan simple pero actually nandun yung patentability, and patentability also goes hand in hand with marketability. But a sad reality is that only about 5 to 7% of what is in the patent databases are actually not commercialized or did not reach the market or is not successful in the market. Okay, these are non-patentable inventories like discoveries, scientific theories, mathematical methods, schemes, rules, or methods of performing mental acts, playing games, doing business, program for computers. But you can, the board game itself can be, but the act of playing cannot be. Okay, programs for computers are not patentable, but if you use the word a system that is used to run a hardware, then it could be patented. Okay? Methods of treatment of human or animal body by surgery or therapy or any method that is practiced in anyone that is an alive human or animal bodies. For example, um, the manner of anong tawag doon, yung dialysis, no? The manner of dialysis, the method of dialysis can never be patented because it's something that's done in a human and animal or in a human body. But the machine or the apparatus that is used to do the dialysis can be patented. Plants, varieties, and animals that are discovered are not patented. We have a different manner of registration for discoveries. Okay? And then we have aesthetic creations is not patented because it belongs under industrial design. And anything that is contrary to public order or morality are not patentable. Okay? Kaya that's why most of the time ammunitions are not part of being patentable. Okay? So, the right to a patent shall belong to the person who filed the application. In the case of a university where the product is funded by the university, or if you're a research institute, or even if you're in the industry, you're commissioned to do so. The one who's so commissioned is the applicant. But again, no, it's up to you if you wanted to tweak or to make it different in your IP policy. Basta in the absence of an IP policy, whatever is in the intellectual property code prevails. No? So ganun lang. Of course, the filing date is the priority date. The filing date is a priority date. The priority date normally is being used when you decided to file a patent in different countries. So, example, you file today, you have 18 months to decide. You file in the home country. That's the best route. In the home country. And then after 18 months, you have, you can decide if you want to file in another country. Then your filing date now becomes the priority date. So safe ka na. Kasi mas protected ka na from way back from the time that you filed. Now, this is a petty patent, also under patent. It's called the utility model. The utility model also is a technical solution to a problem in any field of human activity which conforms with only two of the three criteria of patent. Kasi kanina 3 per patent. But if you satisfy only 2, say you're new and industrially applicable and not inventive, then you can file for utility model. So big companies or those more advanced universities, we're done already with the utility model era, no? Because what they did in order to come up with a wide collection of or a wide IP portfolio is to mainly file utility model. But it's okay to file utility model. The only difference is that in the manner of the review process, because it's not inventive, so it will not undergo the so-called substantive examination, but it will only undergo formality check. But for patent, it's both formality and substantive examination. Okay. Then the years of protection is only 7 years and not renewable. Most food processes, no? Kasi yung food, guys, hinalo ka na, yun nga, example, you've come up with a lugaw, you've come up with ice cream, with jams, no? I saw a lot, and the prior arts in this kind of technology mainly come from Philippines, China, and Russia. Naisip ko na, ito palang tatlong country na ito, talagang mahilig sila mag-file on food-related products. Nakakatuwa nga because in one university, they come up with an ice cream using 3 types of vegetable. But apparently, in the test procedure, they have to mix it with mango. So they have the 3 vegetables plus the mango, which is only a part of the test, but not really part of the initial formulation. But at the end of the IP audit and upon the evaluation, yung 3 vegetables plus the mango will also be filed as a utility model. So they'll file for utility model on the 3 vegetables. Plus, dahil nga they test it with mango, so pati yung with mango, ipa-file na rin for utility model. So, hindi nila alam, no? Ang alam nila, it's only one thesis and there's just one application. But apparently, with the one thesis, there are ways to file. In my experience, I had one thesis filed with a patent and industrial design. And then ito nga example nung ice cream, 2 utility model in one thesis. In fact, madami pa nga dapat yun. Kasi yun nga yung, pag sinabi mo nga, 75% of my formula plus 25% of mango. Yung mga ganon, 8 percentages, pwede pa natin explore yun. We can still explore if the 75, 25% or whatever percentages they said or they stated, was that percentage part of the range that has been claimed already in the prior art. If no, we can still file each of the possibilities ng mga mixtures na yon. Okay? So, maybe the first step, if you really wanted to come up with an IP or a university wants to accumulate more IP, then target utility model. Okay? Now, this is an example of a Filipino filed granted utility model, Antonio F. Mateo of Caloocan City, cross-type foldable rainwater catchment unit. It's filed in 2010, filed 2009. 7 years ang utility model, so 9 plus 7, expired na siya. That's the, diba, 2016 2020. So, ibig sabihin nun, ito, pwede na itong gayahin ng kahit sino. Okay? Okay, so, next is industrial design. Industrial design is anything that is aesthetics. It can be a composition or combination of lines or colors, any three-dimensional form, even sometimes two-dimensional form may do. Kasi, example, you submitted different artwork or print designs for textiles, may fall also under industrial designs. Give specific appearance and serve as pattern to an industrial product or handicraft or interior industrial design. Or anything that is aesthetics, anything that gives beauty is industrial design. Kaya mostly, there are researches that were filed both patent and utility industrial design kasi bakit? Maganda kasi yung tsura. Kakaiba. Okay, so there's also a process for filing, no, and industrial design. The term of protection for industrial design is 5 years, renewable twice for 5 years. So therefore, in totality, industrial design is 15 years. So these are example of registrable industrial design. Diba yung mga furnitures? O gusto mo, your work is just novelty products. So these are things that you can actually explore. Because there are, in the university kasi, sometimes, if you are getting it from thesis, for instance, you don't expect them to really come up with just a simple example, a simple design of a toothbrush. But why not? Diba? Why not? Okay? May mga industrial design kasi na na-upgrade talaga sa patent. No? But example, in one of my teams, we did shoes, umbrellas, mga ganyang bagay are also part of the thesis. I actually challenged those in the hotel and restaurant courses, tourism, SEAS, no, or arts and sciences, business, to come up with consumer products. Because according to some predictors, if you're working on a consumer product, even if the market is bearish or bullish, you will still earn. It's a consumer product. That's why pandemic, no? If it's pandemic, then it's a new normal. We're not going back to the old one, that this is the best time to be innovative. Then you can actually come up with a lot of consumer product nowadays. It's a niche. It's a very good niche. Next is the layout topography of integrated circuits, but this is something new in the Philippines. Typically, ICs, where one element is unique as compared to others and applied to different types of gadgets. Okay? Siguro mga semicon companies were the ones who are working on this, but the protection is for 10 years and non-renewable. And this is also one exciting IP that you can partner with any type of product or process. A trademark. Okay? Of course, you're familiar with trademark, and you know if there. In fact, there are games when you would want to guess trademarks, no? Kasi may mga tinatawag tayong very popular trademark. Mga popular trademark enjoys a bigger protection kasi known sila eh, no? But the trademark is any sign of goodwill. It's a sign of goodwill. It's a symbol of goodwill. It is any type of visible sign capable of distinguishing your goods or services produced or provided by your competitors. It distinguishes your product from the products of other enterprises. That's trademark. Okay? That's why in the process of trademark, it is quite the duty or responsibility of the company or the enterprise to sustain quality. Kaya ngayon, di ba, ang tawag sa mga, minsan, there are people who are so branded-minded. No? Ay, gusto ko to, ayoko yan kasi hindi ganito yung tatak. Kasi ganito lang yung kakainin ko, ganito lang yung bibiling ko because ito yung tatak. It's because the type of trademark or branding that has been produced or done through time. No? Kaya yung mas masipag na mga company with more strategies, mas nape-penetrate nila ng market because of trademark. Okay? Also, if you have a trademark, then you can do franchising. That's one business model that you can explore on. Okay? There are functions of trademark like it enable a consumer to identify your goods and services from your competitors. Minsan nga yung mga magaganda talaga yung trademark, 'di ba? Parang sasabihin natin, ano yung Colgate mo? 'Di ba? Ano yung Xerox mo? But actually, that's part of being good at trademark. Enable companies to differentiate themselves on their products from those of their competitors. Kaya ingat din tayo sa mga trademarks who are seemingly confusing. Nagawa nila seemingly confusing para lang yung mga they can penetrate some of your market. It plays a pivotal role in the branding and marketing strategies of the company, and it provides incentives for companies to invest in maintaining and improving the quality of the products. A lot of things has to be discussed and trademark, but nowadays it goes from the time that you create your business, the trade name, a trade name or the business name starts with that. Start with that. If you're a startup company, you start with a trade name. Ito naman the company name that distinguishes you from other companies. The name that distinguishes you from other companies, so that's a trade name. We only have one trade name in one company, but if you have multiple products, then it's possible to have one company to have different trademarks. Depends on the nature of the product because each product has classification, and each classification that you filed for, may bayad yun, di ba? Also, domain names goes with this topic as well, because nowadays, when you are a startup, you created a product, internet visibility is a but requirement, di ba? Sabi ni Jack ba, if you're not in the internet, you're not doing business at all. Typically kasi yung mga domain name that we use to have a presence in the World Wide Web is the same as your company name, di ba? Ganun yan. Sinasabay na rin natin. So hamburgers, food per classification 29, classification 43. So iba yung bayad sa class 29, iba yung bayad sa class 43. So depende kung saan class. So nagkakaroon tayo ng trademark search, tawag dito. SM, San Miguel, these are example of popular trademarks. The life of protection of trademark is actually 10 years and renewable every 10 years, it's renewable lifetime. As long as you're using it, you can renew a trademark. Now, it's basically the strategy of you if you wanted to explore combining different types of IP to enjoy the maximum protection as possible. You can combine your patents with trademark, with copyright, etc. Sometimes, yun nga, in one product, there are a lot of IPs. Okay. Another that's young in the Philippines is called the geographic indications or the GI. The GI is a type of product or process attributable to a geographic origin because in that particular place, you can only find that product in that particular place, region or locality or territory, given that kind of quality, reputation, or characteristics. So example, in one place you have this kind of product, this kind of soil, this kind of humidity, temperature, weather, and people or farmers. Okay, pati the craftsmanship is included here, no? Okay, typically the products can enjoy the name of the place. Idaho potato means that this potato is only found in Idaho. Darjeeling tea is a tea that's only grows in Darjeeling. Vidalia onions in Vidalia. In the Philippines, example, there's an argument whether can we file for GI of, let's say, Batangas Kapeng Barako. Well, no, we cannot because the Kapeng Barako can grow also in Cavite, in Laguna, in Bulacan, in other parts of the Philippines. So GI lang siya kung doon lang siya pwede. But there are upcoming GIs, no? I think yung mga yung mga tela, yung mga fiber textile or something that's part now of being applied for GI. Okay. May mga narinig na ako GI, di ko lang tinandaan pa. Okay. Now, the last is called the trade secret or undisclosed information. And from the word itself, it's a secret, meaning you have a reasonable steps to keep it a secret because the term of protection of a trade secret is as long as you can keep it a secret. There's big value. There's big commercial value on a trade secret. And of course, no, the most popular trade secret that we had, trade secret protocol or trade secret protected product is Coca-Cola. Okay? So in Coca-Cola's trade secret protocol, they're only allowed to have two person who knows the formula and who knows the secret vault where the formula is being kept. The only two at a time. So therefore, you cannot allow these people to die at the same time. They are not allowed to ride the same car at the same time. They're not allowed to ride the same airplane at the same time. And even in the roads that I think in the roads that they pass to, they have to use different routes and go into a particular place. Okay. Most failures in the trade secret protection is the untimely death of the inventor, the creator, who failed to transfer the technology or the knowledge prior to death. You cannot never say death, diba? That's why by the way, KFC is also trade secret. In my organization, the inventors group, different kinds of stories. So there are some that who inherited the formula from the dead husband, the dead mother, no? Kaya minsan I have to ask them, example, oh, how are you able to come up with the formula? Buti na lang yung asawa niya, the husband, felt that he's about to die. So, nagkaroon ng time para ituro niya yung formula. No? And sabi ko, so where did you keep the formula? Sabi niya, I kept it in my cabinet. But kasi yung the person I'm talking with don't have kids. That's the problem. No? The problem with IP is you don't have a tagapagmana. Kasi nga, inheritance nga siya. Property nga siya, di ba? Kaya yung, there are true to life story when no grandchildren, example, yun, mamamatay talaga yung technology. Or at least to the very least, kung saan mo na ipasa talaga yung technology. Pero siya, sabi niya sa akin yung, that person I'm talking with, sabi niya, she kept the formula in the cabinet. Sabi ko, what if a perpetrator come into your house just to, get that formula? Sabi naman niya siya nakakalam kahit na, 'di ba? Sometimes because this is an intellectual property, this might also cost your lives, 'di ba? If it's a very important, recipe that somebody knows who's keeping it, that's also something that will put harm to you. Kaya kailangan maingat na maingat ang trade secret. There should be a very defined trade secret protocol. Okay, if you don't have a protocol, then that's the problem. Yung may mga trade secret like for instance, sinusulat din nila pati yung protocol. I asked, example, UPLB has a wide collection of trade secret kasi lalo na yung madami sila mga agri-based products, di ba? Agri-based products, syempre sa trade secret mo na lang yan. So, mas maganda kasi pag trade secret. Actually, I've known of a lot of tech guys who preferred to keep their technology trade secret, including myself. Okay. As a patent agent, my recommendation to myself is to keep my protection as a trade secret. Okay? So, very tedious yung paggawa ng trade secret protocol. Now, this is an example. Ito yung kumbaga, palaging example na on a university thesis. No? This is Gatorade, which is just a thesis meant as a thirst quencher drink for the football team of the University of Florida, without knowing that this product will give 80 million US dollars for the company. Imagine that. Then somebody I knew who is a nurse, after hearing my talk, she approached me, then she said, Doc, alam mo ba that the Gatorade is just a flavored textures? So sabi niya parang I wanted really to also to develop my own drink. But look at the success story of C2. Ano ba yung C2? I think there's only two, di ba red and may green pala, red, yellow and green. I don't drink C2, pero look at the C2, no? C2 is a billion peso worth product, di ba? C2 lang yon. It's just a drink. Okay? We're just talking of maybe just a fruit drink, pero syempre the company will not end at the fruit drink. They will also get the chocolate drink, the milk tea drink, beers, any types of drinks. So palaki na ng palaki yung IP, no? Because of these things. It makes sense also to get a technological plan, a 10-year plan for your technology para alam mo how you're going to come up with different brands, different other models, etc. Okay? What protected Gatorade up to this point in time is the trademark. Because the patent expired 17 years ago. And this is a good example where two IPs help hand in hand in giving protection to a product. Okay? So example of Filipino invention, the two-way phone radio by physicist Gregorio Zara, invented as early as 1955. The karaoke, of course, from Filipino Roberto del Rosario in 1975. And the most famous erythromycin, Dr. Abelardo Aguilar. Okay? Microchips, of course. How can we forget? Mr. Engineer Dato Banataw. Okay. who's now helping Filipinos. No? Okay. Why or how IP is important to everyone? Well, it's because IP is meant to protect both ways. To protect the inventor, giving you protection, and to protect the society that after the expiration of the protection, it has to go to the public domain and now everybody can enjoy. Okay? Now, let's have a paradigm shift, guys. The traditional way of knowing that research is meant for publication. Okay. So, nangyayari dyan from you publish, then this perish. In fact, if you're teaching research or asking your students to give you a 5-year-old literature, so which means namamatay talaga agad. 5 years old, matanda na yung libro, you don't want to read it anymore. Okay. And you're even lucky if may nagbasa. Lucky for you if somebody read your work or cited it. But the new paradigm is inserting innovation within the process. This is a mediation paradigm, wherein when innovation mediates between research and commercialization, then the output will be different. It will now be commercialized. So the first step is to protect and then profit out of it. Why would you spend about 100,000 per application per patent if you will not profit? Paano? Saan mo babawiin yung okay? So, this whole process, so yung dapat na process natin, guys, protect, profit, then you can publish. Hintay lang ng konti, di ba? Kasi the day you file it, tomorrow you can publish. And then everything has to perish. This is the way to promote social, economic, environmental impact. It will help the Philippines improve our global innovation index. Okay, evolving research. If you used to call your researcher, now they're called inventors or creator. The output, the prototype, is called the invention or the creation. And the way we do review of literature in the fields of intellectual property, you now classify the document. Whether it's a patent database, then you do patent search. If a non-patent database, then non-patent search. But this is a very good strategy towards patentability. Or kahit nga hindi patentability, towards business. Okay? Napaka magandang. Bukas, I'll teach you how to do patent search. So your idea should be not locked within the cabinet or within the shelves of the library. It's just something that will earn you money because the time you spend for your thesis and the money you spend for your thesis are already a capitalization that you can use to be a startup. Okay? Okay, so everything about IP, about innovation is a mindset and a paradigm shifting. If you're a researcher who used to publish like can publish 10 publications in a year, 1 per month, ang sipag mo. Well, at least yung isa doon, i-elevate natin. At least doon, isa doon, let's file for patent. There are actually a lot of ICT-related, computer-related projects that were there in the copyright field, no? Na sayang sana na i-patent or na explore commercially. Okay? Just a brief discussion lang ng technology readiness, no? So para malaman natin kailan ba nag-a-apply for IT at kailan nagiging startup. So depende sa stage. Okay? Stage natin sa stage natin, guys, 1 to 9, parang the same with how NASA evaluates a plane if it's safe to fly. It's the same basis for technology readiness level. We have 1 to 9. Okay? Starts with why do we have 1 to 9? Why do we need to evaluate your technology? Kahit ikaw sa sarili mo lang, evaluate mo, di ba? Asa na nga ba yung point nitong aking project? Okay? You have to know the commercial viability. You want to assess if there are risks in continuing. Is it worth continuing or not? And this encourages the real-world testing of your product. Okay? So, ano yung mga levels? Basic una is basic principles. You do the usual basic research, ideation, paper studies, characterization, mga ganyan, no? After the basic principle, or say meta-analysis, or at least review of literature, content review, for instance, you can go to the second level, which you formulate, you formulate, your technology formulated. So at least you have identified a particular application or a particular focus of the study. After you have the formulation, you now are ready to do a proof of concept. So this a proof of concept, you have practically an initial laboratory test or yung mga simple bench tests. Okay? From the proof of concept, you are now ready to further the research because your proof of concept is typically a ugly prototype or a crude prototype. Then there's a time that you have to integrate more components to it. You first 1, 2, 3 is the stage of the invention. After you've done with the stage 1, 2, 3, may proof of concept ka na, you can now file for protection. Alamin mo na kung ano ipa-file mo. Okay? Pero this is the stage. Kasi hahanapin din talaga yung proof of concept. Hindi naman pwedeng concept lang. Alam mo, kwentuhan mo lang kami na ito, gato yung ginawa ko, ganito. Kailangan may proof of concept. And there are a lot of ways to have a proof of concept. Then after that, you proceed with component testing in a laboratory wherein you are now ready to integrate components. You do component testing in simulation. This is a more high fidelity prototyping. Okay, these stages are called development and validation stage. This is the end of the research phase. In other words, the research phase is stage 1 to 5. Pag nakalampas ka na dyan, 6, ready ka nang maggawa ng kumpanya. You're now ready to decide whether you will push now for commercialization or you now do a startup company. Number 6 is the prototype demonstration in a simulated environment, practically to a place where you're supposed to install it. Okay? You have to see a fully functional prototype or test a high fidelity prototype. After that, you have the prototype in operational demonstration, meaning ginagamit na mismo yung technology. That's called field testing. And this is, this is the nearest form to a commercial form. Okay? This stage is called prototype demonstration. So at this phase, dapat meron kayo nag-startup na, nabuo na yung company. No? Alam mo na kasi kaya mo ito ginagawa kasi for commercialization ka na. Kasi kung publication, kanina pa yun, number 3. Sa proof of concept kasi nagpa-publish. Actually, 1, nakapa-publish ka na. 2, pwede rin. 3, pwede rin. Okay? Pero going beyond, ang tawag na doon, pre-commercialization stage. Stage 6 to 9 are pre-commercialization stage. Beyond 9 is commercialization phase. So you have actual technology completed. You are now solving manufacturing issues and the actual technology for deployment, or your product is now fully ready for commercialization. This is the last phase, which is the testing and application, the last phase of the commercialization phase. So as a summary of the TRL, guys, if you reach the 3rd level, file already the intellectual property, identify, file it. You're now ready to know who's the owner of the technology. Whoever contributed in the features of the product are inventors. Okay. And then you go to another research phase, 4 and 5. Lagpas ng 5, 6 is already pre-commercialization. Beyond 9 is commercialization. And how long is this? From 1 to 9, it depends. If this is about ICT or computer programs, it should only be 4 to 6 months. If it's more of the brick and mortar, than 1 year or 2 years, baka mahaba na nga eh. But medicine, of course, mahaba. Okay? So, I think that's the end. So, bago tayo mag-question and answer, guys, promote ko lang, if you want to join the Finite Element Institute of the Philippines, please do so. It helped me a lot to meet the situation where there are no complete laboratory in the Philippines. So I try to do simulations, no, in getting some of the most important mechanical properties of my technology. And also, guys, bago tayo mag-question and answer, let me promote my YouTube channel. Okay? Siguro ito na lang yung gift nyo sa akin. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share on my YouTube channel to have more people who benefit out of the feminine genius advocacy. So, manood po tayo every Saturday. Nag-feature ako ng life ng bawat isang tao. Kasi, ganun kalalalim as a technologist. The technology has impact. Social, di ba? Economic. Yung social, guys, malalim yun. Para mapalalim yung sarili mo, you have really to, to listen to as many stories as possible. Okay? And, bago tayo mag-end, this is my surprise. I'd like to come up with a mastermind class. I'll be selecting 10 from you, or kung gusto nyo maging part ng mastermind class. So, I'll coach you. Ano ginagawa ng mastermind class? These are meeting of the like-minded people. So, those people who really wanted to, be better in product development, etc. Okay? Gusto nyo ma-mentor, no? Gusto nyo na makaka-meeting ako at least on a regular basis. So, pwede kayo maging part of the mastermind. I'll only be choosing 10. So, kung sino lang 10 na yon. So, all you have to do for me to choose, I'll announce on April 30. You have to comment on this link of the YouTube, your email, and the hashtag feminine genius. First 10 will be part of the mastermind class. I actually learned this from a mastermind class. I'm a member of mastermind class. Aking mentor ay serial entrepreneur na Filipina who's in Australia, pero ang business niya madami, no? Saang-saang bansa. So, doon ako natuto na kapag pala meron kang mentor na gano'n, parang nagiging, a bit of, mas lalo kang nagiging passionate sa ginagawa mo. Tapos, may tao kang pagtatanungan. So, pag meron akong problema, tawag lang ako, ma'am, pwede ba? I have to pause. Okay, so this would be the reason why I want to try a mastermind class. I want to try how I can pursue or I can leave these 10 people who will be part of the mastermind class. Okay? So guys, this is my last topic for today. We'll have some Q&A. Bukas, patents tayo. Pag pinakamaganda sa 30, kasi sa 30, medyo commercialization na yun. So, strategies na yun, ano yung mga steps na gagawin natin na nakapag-patent ka, pero sa after that, anong mangyayari, ano dapat? Okay? Mas magkakaroon ng parang tuldok kung bakit pa tayo very curious about the basics of patents. Okay? Basa lang ako. If you have questions, you can raise your hand. Pero basahin ko lang yung parang may nakita ko mga questions dito. Good evening sa 79 people in the house. And I'd like, ulitin ko lang yung special mention sa mga tao po from the University of the East. So, nandiyan si Ma'am Teresa Bolivor, Dr. Lydia Leonardo, Hyde Dyke, and Maria Imelda Batalya, Joanne Lazaro, and Ma'am Marilu Alonso. Good evening po sa inyo, administrators of UP and also the administrators of CE Piatti National University, and Jose Rizal Memorial State University, Zamboanga. Ang dami niyo pong nag-register. Thank you. Nakarating tayo sa Zamboanga and Laguna State University. Laguna State Polytechnic University. Also from the DPWH, we have one who's here, and from the Philippine Navy and from the Philippine Air Force. Good afternoon po sa inyo. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Bukas masaya kasi starting intention. Basa lang ako ng mga ibang mga comments nyo dito. Stop sharing na ako. Okay. Mag-camera tayo. Teka lang, guys. Ay, guys. Kasi kanina, Sabi niyo maingay yung linya. I'll just put on my camera. Also, hello sa mga nasa YouTube. So, meron po tayong nakatao sa YouTube, sa ating Facebook and YouTube. Ma'am Ella and Ma'am Sir Jessie, thank you. Nandiyan sila nag-host doon sa ating live in Facebook and YouTube. On ko lang yung camera ko. Some questions dito, basahin ko lang. Guys, I sent here, paki-fill up niyo po yung Excel file, yung link, para ma-email ko kayo pag may mga future na mga events at saka mga trainings. Please fill up po the Google Drive. Okay. Sasa lang ako, guys. Thank you for the tourism and HRM, ang daming food. In ngayon ng food technology. So please, no? Dapat ang HRM thesis should now be dapat part na doon as product development. Okay. Sino yung may tanong, pwede kayo mag-off. Na-open niyo ba yung mic niyo? You can on your mic habang hinahanap ko yung mga chat niyo. Ang haba na kasi ng chat, guys, eh. Ma'am Ria, are you going to share, issue a handout and certificate of attendance? Yes, I can issue a handout and I can issue a certificate then. And then, parang yun lang yung nakita ko. In my company, the duration date was only 5 years. Ano po yun, Ma'am Mercedes? What's the duration date was 5 years? What is that 5 years po? May tanong dito from Engineer Jabel J. How many individuals should know the thing or idea to become obvious po? Is there a threshold number? No, there's no threshold number, but tomorrow I'll give you a technique. Kasi ang technique dito is the technical effect. If you can identify a technical effect, then it eliminates the obviousness. Bali, sa matrix kasi, we do the inventive step matrix. Dun pa lang, na-analyze na natin na kung obvious yung ginawa mo, ibig sabihin, nagagawa din ng, same din naman ang nangyayari, ginagawa ng ibang product. So, obvious na yun. Medyo madugo lang yung inventive step matrix, no? Kaya pag ako, may client, yun ang spotting invention. Spotting invention is basically spotting the inventiveness. Okay, so may technique. So dyan ang pinakamahirap. So ginagawa ko talaga dyan is one-on-one interview with the inventor para ma-explain niya sa akin. And then ako naman, in my capacity, I could tell, based on the prior art, if it's obvious. Lagi po tayo nag-e-evaluate based sa prior art. Kaya hindi kayo pwedeng lalapit sa patent agent nang walang prior art. Kasi unang-una namin check novelty. So doon pa lang sa bukas tuturuan kayo ng pag-fill up ng patent search report. May mga classification of documents. So pag ito yung mga na-search mo, automatic hindi ka na magpa-file. May mga ganon. So always on the result of the patent search, we establish inventiveness and novelty. So, hindi ganun kadali din mag-analyze. Kaya bukas pag-uusapan natin yung pag-spot ng invention. Teka lang guys, talaga nahihirapan ako makita. Yun. Zamboanga del Norte. Hello sa mga taga Zamboanga. Congrats for a very comprehensive talk and more power from your invention, Polite. Thank you, Ma'am Margarita Gray. I think you're the early bird kanina. Thank you po. As much as possible kasi, pag lecture ko kung ano yung nadaanan ko, kaya nako-concise ko siya. Lalo na sa third day. Okay, many from Zamboanga. So, Zamboanga pala has many campus, no? So, there are people coming from the main campus, from the Dapitan City campus. Sana minsan madalo ko kayo. Madalo ko kayo na pag wala ng masyadong restriction. Date of submission is also the date of filing from Shirley Wong. Date of submission is also the date of filing. If yes, then the product you wanted to patent is yours or is registered to your name. The date of the submission or the filing is the start of the counting of the protection. So example, 18 months or 2 years bago ka na-approve, ang bilang nun yung 2 years ago. Yun, palagi may in-establish na filing date kasi, anong reason? Ang reason nun, kunwari ngayon, no, today is April 26, you file today. So your prior art are everything that existed yesterday. So your application will no longer be affected by any disclosure done tomorrow. Yun yung cut-off. Kasi ang haba nung di ba, ng process, example, 18 months, 2 years. So, syempre, along the way, ng 2 years, ang dami ng mga natidevelop bagong product. So, from the time na nag-file ka, hindi na against you, hindi na point against you yung mga prior art na nag-exist after the filing date. Tapos, hindi, patent is yours or registered to your name. Patent is yours if you pass the formality check and the substantive test check. Or wherein they will check if na-classify mo yung novelty, industrial applicability, and inventiveness. Kapag na-satisfy mo yun, patent is yours. If it's yours, if you alone are part of the development. If Shirley, example, your work is funded, then the funding agency might have an IP policy that states their ownership. Example, university. So, university meron. So, pag ganon, pag funded ng university is the applicant. And then you will be the inventor. Okay? Yun ang lalabas doon. Madaming issue about talaga ownership. Iba't ibang universities, iba-iba din naman ang kanilang percent profit. But in the absence of, kasi sa mga government, they use the Magna Carta, di ba, for scientists, which is 40% goes to the inventor, 60% in favor of the funding institution. Pero, case to case, pwede pa rin tumaas siya. Like, for instance, may university akong alam, 80-20. 20 goes to the university, 80 to the researcher. Meron din namang 55-45. 55 goes to the university or the funding institution, 45 goes to the researcher. Depende. Ngayon, if you're the IP office, it's up to you to how to make the profit sharing enticing to the faculty para mag-proceed sila for commercialization. JRMU has 5 campus. Oh, ang dami ah. Yes. Thank you, Maria Isobel Okaw. Please get in touch. Again, I'm reminding everyone if you want to be part of the mastermind class. Ito yung first mastermind class na gagawin ko, no? Kasi ako nakinabang ako sa mastermind class din sa iba. Okay. Pasensya na, nahihirapan ako mag-scroll, ha? You can join the top 10 who will comment in this YouTube link. Yung YouTube link ng day 1, may comment section sa YouTube. Who will comment the email and the hashtag Feminine Genius. Yung 10 mauna sila yun nasa mastermind class. It's a very good opportunity to work with different levels of professional students, graduate students, undergraduate students. Yun yung magic yung collaboration. Para i-coach ko kayo. Kasi guys, pag mastermind, libre ang walang bayad. May bayad po ang patent agent. Pero ito libre lahat. Okay. Working on the product development. Yes, ma'am. How to join the work on the product funded by the institution is co-owned by the institution. But it's okay. Kahit na funded by institution, guide ko lang naman kayo, di ba? Co-coach. Okay. Eh, sa totoo lang, guys, kahapon ko lang talaga nalaman na pati lugaw pinapatent ngayon. Totoo yun. It's a real story. From Eric Joseph, if a material has become public domain, it's no longer possible to apply patents, copyright, etc. No na. Cannot. Expired na eh. Known na siya, di ba? Biro mo, nag-expired pa yung patent, katulad ng Gatorade, nag-expired 20 years. Known na yun eh. Dami nang nakabasa ng patent document nun. Buong bansa. Especially if your product is well-known. So, dami na nakabasa. Ang tendency niyan, ginagaya ka na sa ibang bansa where you don't have the protection. There's no point protecting something that is already known or not new. Basta na-expire na, wala na. Wala pala akong camera. Hala ko naka-camera ko, guys. Sige, ano pa? Sige, you can ask questions pa. Baka meron ako hindi nabasang question kasi ang hirap mag-scroll eh. Ako hindi nabasa. Ma'am, ano to kaninang may question na in my company, the duration date was only 5 years. Hindi ko po makuha yung question na yun. I'm scrolling. Habang nag-scroll ako, shout out po sa lahat ng nagwa-watch sa YouTube at saka sa Facebook. Yung Facebook po, mawawala yung kopya after the show. Pero yung YouTube, pwedeng i-rewind, i-replay. Ang dami ng taga uh, JRMSU. Thank you talaga for that. Okay. Sige guys, think of question. Basahin ko lang yung mga ibang nandito. So, special thank you po kay Director Lydia Leonardo and Maria Teresa Borebor and the principal, Ma'am Marilu Alonso. High school students are now into patents. I already did an IP audit with different high school, Philippine high school, at nakakagawa na po sila ng patent. Okay. Kaya ngayon dapat ang mga high school nag-uumpisa na rin for patenting, mga senior high school. I just want to read, meron pa naman tayong time, no? I just wanted to read some of the questions raised during the registration. Okay? May tanong dito, IP considerations in creating online course contents. It's a copyright material. Of course, so copyright, you have economic and moral rights over an online content course. Kung sino nagtanong nito, if you have a follow-up question, please paki-type lang po yung question. Copyrighted ang online. What is the significance of IPR in education? Malaki. The fourth function of university is productivity. In some SUC, they already have the production offices, wherein there is always an office that is meant for income generation. And in Wednesday, in April 30, I'll discuss a different landscape of innovation. Doon makikita nyo lalo ano ang gamit ng IPR sa education. Doon sa different landscapes. How can we innovate a new unique product? Start from your environment, start from your discipline, solve, yung kasi pinakamadali, no? Solve a problem that you can see in your industry. Yun ang umpisa. Pero may mga iba kasi na they're working on the industry that they have passion on. Pwede rin yun. Example ako, Pauline is construction, of course, civil engineer ako. Pero meron din ako invention na penile na ICT. Meron din akong mga ginagawang product development like cosmetics. And to innovate a unique product, please be sure that it conforms with the 3 criteria. Tatlong criteria na bid mo, file patent. Pag dalawa lang, file utility model. Pag isa lang, ang ibig sabihin nun, industrial design yun. Basta bago, walang tapon. Basta bago, may IP. Various ways on how to promote using IP. Various way on how to promote using IP. Training, di ba? Success stories is one. Success stories for IP. How can you encourage youth in being a future entrepreneur? Actually, kanina yung training na inatenan ko, ang mga entrepreneur sa US, ang age nila, mga college dropouts, so mga bata pa sila. Diba? Sila, Mark Zuckerberg, yung mga iba pang mga nag-drop out. So, kanina, dun sa analysis nila, talagang from the youth, nag-uumpisa ang entrepreneurship. Ang mga youth kasi, the skills kasi of entrepreneurship, di ba, is a skill, no? Na malalaman malaman mo na meron kang skill na yon based sa how you deal with your past life. Ano ka, mahilig ka ba magbenta? Mahilig ka ba mag-network? No, yung mga ganon. Mga ano yun, attributes of a future entrepreneur. Kasi kung wala ka namang skills, paano mo mamamarket yung iyong product? Kukuha ka ng marketing arm. Tapos ikaw na sa technical lang. Pwede naman gano'n, no? Pero the other day, meron din isang training, isang expert from, I'm sorry, just forget the name, expert from Silicon Valley. Ang funding, ang ano pala, venture capitalists, they only consider, for them to decide if they will fund you, 30% technology, 70% the team. Okay. So, yung entrepreneur, kasi yung future entrepreneur, mararamdaman mo yung sa sarili mo na you have this initial attributes of entrepreneur, tapos magpa-incubate ka, hanap ka ng mga incubation TPI para mas lalo ka pang maturuan, training, how to improve your other aspects, yung financials, business, market. Yun kasi ang typical role ng mga TPI, equipping you with the things you need to be successful in the market. Kaso yun nga, ang sad reality is that a lot of startups, pero pagdating sa market, wala naman talagang user or hindi naging successful. Kaya ang magandang thesis, from the thesis pa lang guys, is industry-based na. If you are successful in identifying an industry partner or an adopter while you are taking thesis, then you are lucky. Because at least having an industry partner gives you the initial consideration that may gagamit pala, maganda pala yung technology mo. So, kailangan ngayon pa lang, thesis pa lang. If you're gonna ask me, guys, if there has been thesis that become successful in the market, yes, there are. Yes, there are. In my experience, masteral thesis, doctoral thesis. Sa bata, college thesis, mahirap kasi guys kapag when the student graduates and there's no collaboration with the faculty, yung bata nagiging busy siya sa kanyang work, no? Pero kung collaboration, faculty students, so may naiiwan pa rin na faculty to continue the research or the future works na para maka-commercialize. Tapos at least yung bata na alalayan. So kung gusto talaga natin ng successful thesis to be in the market, though it is, sinasabi nga it should be the students who initiated the concept, pero baka mas maganda kung collaboration, faculty and students. My experience, pag lumabas na yung bata, hindi na namin ma-file yung patent. Kasi hindi yung patent agent may hihingi ng mga documents, no? Hindi na maibigay ng faculty. Why? Because the faculty was not part of that doing the research. Now, if you agree from the very beginning that you are collaborating on this, at least kahit magkakaroon ng continuity ng project. Namamatay kasi guys yung technology. That's a sad reality. After some time, wala na, namamatay na. Kaya importante ang faculty's role to make a college thesis successful in the market. About hospitality, functional food. There are so many. Functional food, I so love it. I'm actually doing one research on functional food. And there are so many out there about functional food. So please proceed. Patentable yan. Hospitality, madami rin. Mostly kapag hospitality, ang naiisip ko, mobile app or something that we can wear. COVID di ba? Ngayon kasi mababago na kaya nga, the great disruption. the best time to do research kasi lahat tayo on equal footing na pagsisimula. No? So, ang daming pwedeng mabago pagdating sa hospitality nowadays. Yung iba kasi ditong tanong, nasagot ko na yung copyright, what is the essence of IP, I already answered that. The proper procedure for registering IPR, we discussed on Wednesday. You write the invention disclosure form, specification, submit the necessary documents, the drawings, and the most important, the claims. Draft the claims. Yun yung invention mo, yung claims, no? Then, file online to the Intellectual Property Office and then wait for the response. Then magsasagutan na kayo, prosecution na. Ownership of patents, depends on what situation. Depends sa IP policy. But whoever so commission owns. Okay? Pero yun nga, nagiging applicant siya and then inventor. And then co-ownership, identify profit sharing scheme. Also in the university setting, if you really wanted to go into product development, you might want to start identifying the policy for treating the faculty who's a startup. Ano mangyayari sa kanya after a startup? Faculty pa rin ba siya? Ilang percent faculty? Ilang percent running a business? Okay. And then, meron dito reprogram. I don't understand the reprogram. Economic right, I already discussed that. Military hardware or non-integration to the list of IPs. Yes, maybe because of anything that is mga bombs, di ba? Mga ammunitions are not part of those that are patentable. Okay? But I don't know exactly what are this military hardware you're talking about, Sir Person. How important this session in times of pandemic? Very important, 1,000% important. Pandemic will come to rise is the way to recover, forefront of healing. And hindi ko lang nasama pero I'll include it in Wednesday. There are industries that are in the forefront of healing, that's health and construction. So yung mga disruption na mayroon, new products related to this are good investments. Agri-based products are good investment for the pandemic. Steps in IP, nasabi ko na kanina. Free download journals, extent of copyright restrictions. Every download has a pay. Distribution yun di ba? Kanina pinag-usapan natin yung different ways to have economic merits, no? So, bawat download, bayad. Ano lang naman to, yung free download journals, hindi. Kasi in-explain sa akin ng Scopus. Bakit may free, may paid? Yung free kasi, binayaran ng author yung publication. Kaya free na nata-download ng mga user. Pero karamihan ng journal is with fee, kasi hindi pa in-answer ng author yung publication fee. So, doon babawiin sa mga gagamit. Okay? Extent of copyright restrictions, case to case. Depends ano yung pinag-uusapan natin. But the only exemption is the fair use. Sabi yung fair use, sa copyright, if it's used for educational purposes, fair use, exempted yun, hindi yun copyright infringement. Yun lang ang nakikita kong posibleng. Okay, so those are the questions. Meron pa ditong mga tanong. Miss Ria, thank you very much for this seminar. It is indeed very timely. This is our present topic in Technopreneurship 101. The introduction to IPR is well covered by your topic tonight. Thank you. Thank you po, Sir. Sir Alfredo, I'm happy that you're here. Magkita ulit tayo sa Fiati soon. Okay, meron pa ditong question. Wait. Nahihirapan ako mag-scroll eh. Dito sa kapila. Ay, ang hirap talaga. Wala pa. Okay. Baka kasi may na-miss ako mga question. Pag may na-miss ako, retype lang. Bukas, very exciting yung topic natin kasi pattern search. So, sabi ko yung mga databases, saan tayo makaka-search ng mga information. How you prepare a pattern search report. Stay in the house. Thank you for coming. Thank you sa lahat ng nandito sa Zoom at lahat ng nanonood sa YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, everyone. Sige, guys. Any more questions? Still have time. Okay. Actually, nakita ko ditong tatlong classification ng estudyante na umattend: engineering, HRM, and those in the ICT and computer, no? Dami. Um, challenge nga eh. Challenge. There's no unicorn in the Philippines. Unicorn is anyone who is worth $1 billion valuation. So, yung simple lang na app may able to change your life, no? So, yung mga nasa ICT programming, I challenge you to come up with those kind of technology that will disrupt our way of life, no? That's how, just how GCash and Grab and Shopee disrupt our life, no? God bless, Ma'am Kalas. Yes, thank you po, Ma'am Margarita Gray. God bless po din. Okay. Sige, questions, guys. Okay, so if we don't have any questions anymore, kung wala na po tayong tanong, we can continue tomorrow. Our topic tomorrow is patentability, patent search, and inventive matrix. So, maganda yun. Mas maganda kung meron kayong mga sample products. Sample technology pwede natin tingin. From Ma'am Maria Isobel Okao, sana I pronounce your name right. Thank you, Dr. Ria. Looking forward to more discussion. Yes, mahalaga po yung bukas kasi bukas malalaman natin paano natin pina-finalize yung features ng isang product. Mapakita ko kayo paano, kunwari, wala ka maisip yung feature, di mo alam kung paano. So, pattern search pa rin yun. Paano pina-perfect yung product mo? Pattern search. Paano malalaman na inventive? Pattern search. Paano malaman na nakaka-infringe ka? Pattern search pa rin. Lahat na nasa ganun strategy. Thank you sa madaming taga Jose Rizal Memorial State University. Salamat. Saan niyo ba nakuha yung seminar na to? From From Facebook ba or from a friend? Okay. From Sir Jovito. Si Jovi. Kasi branch ba yan ng JRU dito? Sir Jovi, oo. Sige, say thank you to Sir Jovi. Okay, so guys, again, those who will want to be part of the mastermind class, this will be my way for coaching. Ang tawag dito, more intimate coaching. I will just, small group lang kasi mahirap yung big group, no? Small group of 10 people who will be, the first 10 who will comment in the YouTube link. Sila yung magiging member ng mastermind. Sana nga yung let 1,000 flowers bloom, no? Sana may mag-bloom doon sa micro-coach. Yes, unit head. Yes. He is our research unit head. And Professor nyo from NU, yung under Sir Exito. Mag-ano kayo unahan kasi first 10. Sa YouTube link, no? YouTube link. YouTube channel is Dr. Ria Liza. Dr. Ria Liza. Every Saturday, nag-feature ako ng mga iba-ibang tao. Tapos, ako kasi natututo ko sa buhay ng ibang tao. Kaya nakikinig ako. So, dapat kayo makinig din kayo every Saturday, 9 p.m. Okay? So, sige, everyone. Thank you for coming and I'll see you again tomorrow for another wonderful topic. Can sign in sa YouTube. Facebook pwede. Facebook pwede ka mag-comment para doon ko makita. Facebook naman is page Feminine Day 1 Day 1. The Feminine Genius page. Facebook page or Dr. Ria Liza na YouTube. Doon ka mag-comment. Isabel, oo. Comment kayo doon para may proof tayo na gano'n. Okay? Mark Lloyd, thank you. God bless them. God bless to all of you. Sana may natutunan kayong madami ngayong araw. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Ay, may naka-raise hand ba? Hindi ko nakita, hindi ko napansin eh. Raise hand. Guys, yung naka-raise hand, pwedeng mag-ano na lang kayo, unmute. Ang hirap pala makita kung sino naka-raise hand. Mag-isa lang kasi ako. May naka-raise hand na dalawa. James and Maricar. James Paul. May question ba kayo? And Maricar. Maricar Jerusalem. Guys, pwede ako mag-request, mag-turn on kayo ng camera. Picture lang tayo, remembrance. My first ever free webinar. Turn on lang tayo ng camera. Teka lang nga guys, parang madami. 3 pages. Hintay ko lang mag-turn on Ayan, nagta-turn on. Pages. Paki-smile lang. Smile smile. Teka, may bukas pa ng camera. Hintay natin.
Brood! Brood! Good! Good!
Okay, okay. Smile. Dali, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Teka, guys, wait. Mukha ko ng magandang ano. Ulit.
Tapos na natin. Kaya eh.
Wait, ah. Kasi panaktiwi eh. Ayan, marami naka-on. Teka. Wait. Alisin ko lang yung chat sa gilid. Okay, smile ulit. Kita, pero sa isang side.
Dili ang cellphone. Oh, ayag kayo no.
Ay,
Teka, page 2, smile girls. Ito, marami girls sa side na to. Smile. Wait, ah. Wait. And last page ako, last page. Smile ulit.
Wait lang. Bigaya ay saging calls.
Okay, guys. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Doon sa Yeah.
Gali ah. Morning.
Ano yan? Uy, Rude. Pati lawat sana. Luto, Rude. Relax ako ngayon ulit ha. Ako ah. Din na sa ano?